We are following the latest developments on the disappearance of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. TMZ and Tucson stations are reporting they have received ransom notes demanding payment for the release of Nancy Guthrie. According to TMZ, the note demanded millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin.
So here's what police have confirmed. Nancy Guthrie was last seen Saturday night at her Tucson home. She was reported missing the next day on Sunday when she did not go to church. The Pima County Sheriff's Office believes that she was taken against her will, but no suspects have been identified. So far, investigators have been very tight-lipped about why they don't believe Guthrie left her home voluntarily. Detectives are also analyzing DNA found at the scene and Guthrie's cell phone.
NBC put out a statement saying Savannah Guthrie will not be joining them in Italy for the Winter Olympics, saying she's focused right now on being with her family at this time. Our team here at 12 News is working to bring you the very latest. Sean Rice is in studio. He spoke to a former homicide detective here in the Valley about this investigation. And Tricia Hendricks is in Tucson with the very latest on what's going on there today. Tricia.
Troy, police are telling us they found evidence that suggests a crime, but haven't said what that evidence might be. In addition, also drawing a lot of attention, we've asked authorities about the alleged ransom note and wanting payment in Bitcoin. We're still waiting to hear back on that.
We have a lot of work in front of us. We have a job to do, and we have someone's life who is in jeopardy. And so job number one is we got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that.
Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano speaking on the search for Nancy Guthrie. The sheriff says they're tracking every lead and working with evidence with help from the FBI.
The FBI is doing everything in our power to bring Nancy Guthrie home to her family. We're downloading and analyzing cell phones, obtaining cell tower information, conducting interviews, and providing any and all investigative support that the Sheriff's Department needs.
Authorities continuing to ask for the community's help.
If you live in the area or saw something on Saturday night, the 31st of January, or Sunday morning, the 1st of February, please report it to the Pima County Sheriff's Department or the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI.
When asked if there's any indication whether this was a random abduction or targeted, the sheriff couldn't answer that.
You know, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know.
At this point, he has no idea how many people were involved in the abduction of Nancy Guthrie. We know she's been without medication she needs to survive every day. It's now been more than 48 hours. When asked if the sheriff believes she's still alive,
We hope we are. We hope we are.
he doesn't believe there's a wider threat to the public at this time.
We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will, and that's where we're at.
The sheriff said the crime scene has now been fully processed.
We gathered all the evidence we could, to include looking for what? Fingerprints, DNA, camera images, everything you can imagine, and we gathered that out. Those things have been submitted forward to labs, to technological companies to help us.
The sheriff hasn't confirmed whether there was any forced entry to her home, but says there were concerns from the beginning when they started the investigation. When asked if a ransom has come in,
We're following all leads we have. That's all I can tell you.
the sheriff couldn't confirm to us either way. Meanwhile, 12 News received a statement from St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, where she's been a member for more than 30 years, saying in part, "We are praying for mercy. We are praying for her safe return. We are praying for her family." And we echo those same words tonight. The sheriff saying we shouldn't expect to hear any updates in the case until Thursday morning when another news conference is scheduled, unless there's a break in the case. For now, we're live in Tucson. Tricia Hendricks, 12 News.
And it's interesting that the sheriff is saying he doesn't think the community at large is in danger, which I think would spell that, she was targeted, which would give some credence to the fact that there may be some sort of ransom note out there, and these ransom notes could actually be real, Tricia.
That's right. And the sheriff did acknowledge in a post on social media they are aware of that sort of thing circulating, but they haven't been specific on what exactly that is.
All right. Tricia Hendricks, live for us in Tucson. Thank you, Tricia. Pima County Sheriff's Office has revealed several leads that they are following in the search of Nancy Guthrie, including sending DNA samples of the crime scene up here to Phoenix.
12 News journalist Sean Rice is here now to explain how this process works. Sean?
Yeah, Tram and Troy, there are a few people here in the Valley with more experience working with this kind of DNA than former Phoenix Police Homicide Sergeant Troy Hillman. He worked for over 2 decades solving cold case homicides for the Phoenix Police Department. He tells me one of several investigative leads law enforcement is exploring is trying to find a match for that DNA found inside Nancy Guthrie's home. Now this morning, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said there are pieces of evidence inside that home that point to a crime being committed inside. A sheriff's office forensic team, I witnessed it with my own eyes. They left late Monday evening taking multiple home items from inside the home outside. I'm told multiple of those items are now being processed at a crime lab up here in Phoenix to be tested for that DNA. Now, Hillman tells me a law enforcement agency can request to have these items processed as a priority, especially given that Nancy Guthrie could still be alive.
They're going to extract the DNA and look for, and compare it, do a direct comparison to see if it's the victim's, which they probably don't have her DNA, but family's able to provide enough to build a DNA profile for her. So they can compare it, and then they can also, if there's a mixture or an unknown perpetrator, they can upload that to the CODIS database, the national DNA database.
Those are only for people who may have had a prior interaction with law enforcement or have delivered a sample to wherever, if they've been booked into a jail, if you will.
Arrested, it depends on state laws, arrested and or convicted, and it's typically convicted, they're going to be in there.
And Hillman tells me the usual time frame for DNA processing at the Arizona Department of Public Safety's crime lab is about a week, sometimes longer. Sheriff Nanos says this morning they also received some of those results back, but he said at this point there has been no verifiable match or nothing that they can pursue as an investigative lead at this point. It's also important to note that DNA really is just one piece of the investigative puzzle here. With recent advances in technology, some of the best and most incriminating pieces of evidence are what is collected from cell phones, surveillance cameras, traffic cameras in and out of that neighborhood. The FBI says they're using every tool they have to help the sheriff's office process those pieces of evidence. Troy.
All right, Sean, thank you. And you would have to think in a neighborhood like that, an upscale neighborhood, there's going to be a number of cameras in there. So I know that they have requested from the cloud to get some of those videos out there. Sean, thank you. There's still a lot of questions, of course, to be answered. Number one, where is Nancy? So be sure to download 12 Plus on your TV right now for any breaking updates on this investigation while we go off the air. And of course, we'll have more on it on different editions of 12 News here on TV.